Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Chaska Human Rights Commission meeting of Thursday, October 24th, 2024. We're glad you're here. We're glad you're at home viewing. If you're surprised, it's actually raining outside, so enjoy the moments of rain on your rooftops. Roll call tonight, please. Elise.
Mr. Hubbard,
Here.
Mr. Welber, here, Mr. Gotti, here, Mr. LeSueur,
Here.
Mr. Hahn, here, Mr. Sanderson, Mr. Hamza, Mr. Me, Chair Carlson.
Here. Thanks, Elise. We have a guest tonight, a special guest. Steve Walker is a Veteran Service Officer for Carver County. Please welcome to the podium. Why veterans? Well, I guess I could probably turn to Ren, who kind of heads up our focus for the month of November.
They've done so much for our country. We're just really excited to recognize and excited to be able to talk about the folks in the community who've done so much to make sure that we have the freedoms that we enjoy.
Earlier tonight, Jen and I were meeting with a master's degree student to talk about the role of the Human Rights Commission. And one of the things we talked about was having you here tonight with us, Steve, to talk a little bit about what it is that your office does, but also how we can support veterans within our community. We recognize that they may be a silent voice that we should stand beside or lift up or do more welcoming, and we will welcome your suggestions on how to do that. So again, thanks for your willingness to be here tonight. And I'll turn it over to you, and then we'll probably have some time for some questions and answers.
Sure, sounds good. And the veteran world is something I could talk all night about, so I will try to be brief with my slide and presentation. I would like to thank you, Chairwoman, for the invitation to get in front of this organization, and thank you all for being here and allowing us to have a voice. Veterans in this community, I do feel like have a very strong voice, very strong opinions over things, and that can sometimes come at a clash with the community. I would say this community, Carver County as a whole, from a fairly outsider's perspective, I live in Hennepin County, at least for the time being. Lived there for the last 8 years.
We would talk to you about moving to our community.
Certainly we are looking every day. This community has been so welcoming. They truly do care about their veterans. There are so many people and so many different programs that are created and so many nonprofits that are out there looking to try and help veterans. And that is clearly because of the upbringing of the community here, and just the emphasis from the top down that veterans matter. And I'd say you are not the only one that has that belief. It is clearly an emphasis in this community. And so I would really like to thank Carver County as a whole for the strong welcoming that I have received. I've only been in this position for the last year or so. And again, my name is Steve Walker. I am the Carver County Veteran Service Officer. I took over in July of last year of 2023 after Dan Tengwall ended up moving on. Our office is just down the street, and we meet with veterans, their surviving spouses, their dependents every day to make sure that they are informed and are receiving the benefits that are there for them. So with that, I'll get into my presentation. Thank you, Chairwoman. So who is down there at the office? It is myself as the County Veteran Service Officer, but we also have two Assistant County Veteran Service Officers, Chuck Maxfield and Brett Lyons. They've both been there about 5 or more years, so definitely know what they've been doing. I was lucky to inherit such a strong office. I would put us against any other County Veteran Service office in the state of Minnesota. We know what we're doing. We're all very experienced and strong advocates for veterans and their dependents. We also have Dean Christensen. We're very lucky to have him. He's not just an administrative assistant. He is kind of the glue that holds everything together. He helps run our transportation program. He spent a lot of time with the state running various state assistance programs that I'll get into in a minute. And he spent time at the VA and the pension world, assisting veterans and their surviving spouses with some of those claims. So he comes with a world of knowledge, and it's something that our office, again, why I would put our office up against any office in the state of Minnesota. We have so much knowledge and experience, including our drivers. We have roughly 80 years of military service combined in our office. And I think it is around 40 years of service in the veteran service community. So we have a vast experience at all levels, federal, state, and local. So we know what we're doing and how to best serve each individual person that comes to us. Because as much as I wish every veteran just was entitled to kind of every benefit out there, it really depends on their length of service, where and when they served, what issues they may have dealing with now, and what issues they may have been dealing with in service, to include then the surviving spouses as well. So it's every individual veteran really needs their own case consultation, needs their own time to really figure out what we can do best to serve them. But that is what we give every veteran that comes to us. So next slide, please. So some of the career possibilities and the things that are out there for not just veterans, but people even looking to join. I mean, I have friends from service that have used it to get certifications for IT. They've switched roles. I've got friends that have also ended up getting flight hours to become a pilot and being able to use the military to pay for a lot of those things that are extremely expensive to do on the outside world. So there are a lot of possibilities out there. I mean, every medic that leaves their annual or their basic and AIT comes away with an EMT level certification. So there are, depending on what somebody ends up wanting to do on the outside world, they have the means to be able to try and get some initial help getting that leg up through that service. And then even once they are done serving, they are typically given some preference points. So if they are applying for federal positions, if they're applying for city or county positions, there are state regulations that allow for veterans to at least be interviewed for some of those positions. So veterans are, I would say, in the state of Minnesota, extremely taken care of. There are people very well-meaning trying to look out for our veterans and making sure that they are given some of those kind of legs up just as a thank you for their service. And while while in service, you're receiving that free healthcare, free dental that a lot of people end up needing. That first bullet up there, direction when unsure what to do post high school. Myself as an example, I'm the youngest of 4. I did not know how I was going to pay for college. I did not know what I was going to do. I come from a long line of teachers, thought that was maybe what I was going to do. Through life, I decided, no, that's not for me. I do want to help people. I do want to teach people, but not in that route. And the military helped give me some of that purpose and that direction. So kids coming out of high school at 18 don't always know what they want to do. The military gives them some of that opportunity to grow up a little bit, figure out what they want to do, and even give them some of those legs up, some of those certifications, some of those credentials that they may need that are harder to get on the outside or that are very expensive to get on the outside. So those are some of the benefits while serving and some of the things that they can get through their service. Next slide, please. So who do we help? Obviously, we help veterans. It's in the name. But we also help spouses sometimes get benefits. We have justice-involved veterans, people that end up making mistakes or suffering from PTSD and end up getting in trouble with the law, or end up addicted to drugs and end up involved with the law. So sometimes we are assisting those spouses and receiving some benefits while possible, while they're going through some of those processes. We help surviving spouses when the veteran unfortunately passes. I can tell you today, I talked to 2 spouses that lost their husbands just within the last week, and trying to navigate what benefits are out there. What is that next check going to look like? Is the VA going to take it all? Where are we going to get them buried? How do I get the forms to get them interred at Fort Snelling? We help with all of it. We help make sure they get the documentation needed, help them do all of the forms and get it to where they need to alleviate some of those pressures from them. We help the dependent children, meeting somebody tomorrow to try and go over what benefits might be there for a child that is only 14, 15 years old, still under the age of 18. There may be some benefits out there. They don't pop up all that often, but this is one of those rare times, and so we have to assist any veteran and their family really holistically with whatever we can to make sure they are informed and get the benefits that they deserve. And then we help next of kin, again, much like the surviving spouses. Sometimes we'll have that daughter, that grandson that is so proud of their grandparent that served in World War II, served in Vietnam, that passed away, and they just want to know more about their service. And so we can assist them with getting some of those documents to be able to figure out where exactly were they when they passed away, what did they do in service, and be able to help them get the awards that they were entitled to be able to make a shadow box to be able to have up on their wall and honor them. So we kind of help anybody and everybody that has, that is affected by veterans to include their family. Next slide, please. So the big one that we assist with are the federal benefits. That is where I would say we spend most of our time on assistance, is with like disability compensation. If you end up getting injured in their time in service, they went to combat, they're suffering with PTSD. Is there any issues or injuries that they're dealing with that we can tie back to service? And there is a compensation for that. That is that disability compensation. There's pension if they serve during some wartime. There are various different benefits. A big one is going to be the education benefits. So somebody leaves service, they're not sure what they still want to do. Maybe they've got some certifications, maybe they need to go back to school. There are programs like the GI Bill to be able to use it to go to college, to go to university. If that isn't what they want to do, if they are more in the trades, they only used a year, got their certifications, and now they're working somewhere, but they are on probation. There's another underutilized program. It's called on-the-job training, or OJT, that we can assist them and the business owner to get some extra compensation from the government for hiring a veteran. So trying to get information out to employers as well as to the veterans on hiring a veteran can be financially good for you. For hiring and then keeping them on after the probationary period, they would get $2,000. And I don't know a company that would turn away $2,000. So just for hiring the veteran, they do minimal work, just log in every month and say, yes, they're still employed here. Yes, they're doing what we're asking them to do. They can end up getting that additional income. There's healthcare. Healthcare is, I'd say, the second biggest thing we end up dealing with, trying to make sure veterans are receiving their healthcare, because unfortunately, you walk away from service, you had all that healthcare, you found employment, and now you've got the greatest health insurance through your employer. You choose not to enroll in VA healthcare. VA healthcare has so many rules and stipulations that just having that DD 214, that discharge from service, is not just your automatic qualifier, you're enrolled. The VA is expanding it all the time, trying to open it up more and more, but there are so many rules with it that really, there are times we have to dig into somebody's file. What did they do? Where did they go specifically to try and get them enrolled in healthcare to be able to get treatment for some of those things? We see a lot of that in some of our aging community, the ones that are 60 years old, not quite 65, not able to get on Medicare, but looking to retire and just need to know, how do I get healthcare to kind of fill in that gap? I really wish every veteran would enroll in VA healthcare for a simple reason. When they get older, we're having a lot of older veterans that are struggling and kind of on that verge of needing assisted living, needing senior help, needing that extra care. And the VA on the healthcare side is always coming out with new programs to try and help veterans stay in their homes longest, because that is where they're most familiar. That is where they tend to strive best. And so if we can keep them in their homes and provide that in-home health care, they tend to do better than putting them into a senior home or an assisted living facility. But to do that, we have to get them enrolled in VA healthcare because they are the ones paying for it. And as I said before, if they are not enrolled, VA doesn't just say, come on in, you got your discharge, welcome. There are rules to it, and so sometimes we have to navigate how to get them in. And that can be very difficult and challenging when that veteran is, say, 75, 80 years old and has never used the VA healthcare system, because everything with the VA and the federal government just takes a little bit of time. And sometimes that time is just not what the veteran has. But we also assist with, getting people interred out at Fort Snelling at the National Cemetery. And then there is emergency assistance every other Thursday. So just this morning, I sat on a homeless veteran meeting. It's for the South Metro. Right now, we have a couple that are kind of on that verge, some that are in the program, and always trying to make sure that we are doing whatever we can at all levels to find them sustainable housing. How did they get there? Where are their food needs? Where can we assist with kind of everything? Looking at it holistically, how did they get to this point in life? It's not typically just one thing that happens to make somebody homeless. So again, back to that kind of each individual veteran case consultation, every conversation with a veteran is different. And so you just have to be able to kind of pull those things out of veterans, because we are also not great at advocating for ourselves, and even worse at asking for help before it becomes an emergency, unfortunately. We are a very proud people, and it is difficult to ask for help until you truly need it, until you've done everything you can to try and fix your own problems. So a lot of times we deal with crisis management, but we're getting very, very good at it, I promise. So next slide, please. We also assist with state benefits. There are state benefits for veterans. Again, back to some of the crisis ones, there are grants out there. One-time emergency grant. We did get approved for some emergency funding due to the flooding this spring. For veterans that ended up with flood damage, was not a lot, but every little bit helps when you've lost so much. There's state housing and employment search. So somebody comes to us, again, having some of those housing issues, but we're looking at it holistically. So are they employed? Are they underemployed? Have they looked at getting some help from Career Force or from the state MAC-V to try and help with employment as well as housing? So just looking to see what all there is for veterans. And then so for some of our older veterans or more disabled veterans, looking at the veterans homes and some of those to be able to have the federal government or the state government be able to pay for a lot of that care that they need. So next slide, please. And then locally, here in Carver County, all of the American Legions and VFWs are part of a veteran council. We meet the first Thursday of every month to try and go over what changes there are from our side, what we see from the state and federal government, what do all the posts need, so I can put out that information, as well as they can bring me their problems. This is what they're hearing from the local side, because unfortunately we can't be everywhere. And the problems that we may see here in Chaska or that we see in Chanhassen are not going to be the same problems that people are seeing in Watertown or New Germany. So it's a great opportunity to be able to get some of that back and forth and see what are the problems of the veterans, and where do we need to try and advocate more or provide more resources or time and effort. So we are looking forward to that this next month. We then partner with the county. So again, back to kind of that morning meeting I had, the South Metro area homeless meeting. There are all kinds of stakeholders in there. That we have the VA there, so the federal government. We have stakeholders there from the state, so MDVA, MAC-V, our office is there. So we're all working together to try and figure out what are the problems for these people, what can we do locally, what other agencies do we need to get involved here with the county? Is it worthwhile, or are we going to be overburdening some of our other county resources? So one of our recent homeless veterans, unable to try and get all the services needed just due to understaffing from, say, county housing. They're so overbooked that they're able to just rely on me and the veteran community to help fix that veteran's problems. And so it works really well to be able to lift up and take some of the load off of other county organizations to try and help our veterans, but knowing that they're also there whenever we do need. And I talk to county housing, I'd say at least every week. Jen Romero there is fantastic, and I need her help with a lot of things, because when it comes to housing, it's its own beast. So I don't even try to get too much into it. And then we work with nonprofits. So we get some of those veterans that come in again in that emergency. They needs, whether it's a gas card to try and get to an appointment, they need some of the housing help, or they need whatever it is. We partner not just with the American Legions, the VFWs, the other county organizations, but organizations like Flags and Honor. Is that veteran that is now unhoused, food insecure? Do we need to partner with Bountiful Baskets here in town? Do they know where they can get a free meal? Do they know where that next meal, that next paycheck is coming from? So just trying to, again, look at every veteran holistically, and what can we do from the top down, federal, state, locally, to make sure that they are getting the benefits that they have earned, that they've done so much for. So next. So that, I'd say, and try to keep it brief and just a high level overview. So I'd say, do our best, and we genuinely care about our veterans. Everybody in our office is a veteran. There are 3 of us that have retired, so did over 20 years in the military. We genuinely want to help every veteran that we can. It sometimes makes for long days and is extremely stressful, but when we get that opportunity to help lift them up when they are at their crisis, when we're able to help that surviving spouse who just lost their loved one and has no idea what to do next, helping them, and just that thank you means the world. From one veteran to another, that surviving spouse to another, just knowing that you're still brothers and sisters in arms and looking out for each other. And so I am thankful to have the best job in the world. I've got the best clients in the world, and I will stand by it. So I am here for your questions, Chairwoman, Commissioners. Again, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So thank you for your service. I'm interested, how do you connect? What's the best way that you connect with veterans, right? My father-in-law is still finding benefits that he's eligible for, and he's been retired for 15 years, right? And so I'm just interested, how do people just come into your office? Like, how do you connect with veterans?
We do get a lot of walk-ins, especially right now being right next to the licensing and voting center.
Oh, sure.
So right now we get a lot of walk-ins, which is fantastic. Otherwise, we try to put out whenever there are changes, whenever there's information that is needed to really get out to the public so that they know what benefits are out there. Facebook, our Carver County Veteran Services Facebook, is one of the main ways that we do that. I have spent a lot of time in this first year updating and really trying to get as much information out on our county website, on the Carver County Veteran Service Office, just part of the county website, to make sure that the resources are there. We are now also spending some of our state grant that we get every year on advertising. So trying to get into bars, restaurants, places that people go, that isn't maybe the American Legion, the VFWs, because we kind of corner the market on those. We already know those veterans. So finding the veterans that we don't know about, or the ones that are it's a lot of my generation, I would say, that we're too involved in family. We have other things going on, and we're not exactly a part of an American Legion, a VFW, some of those social clubs. We are terrible at asking for help. And so I'm hoping that getting some of that advertising at restaurants and places that they may take the family out for dinner, at least letting them know where we are, because some people still think we are in Waconia at the Historical Society, and we have not been there in 8 years or so. It is just some of those little things. We try to come out to events and fairs, have booths just to be able to get information out. But that is, I would say, is one of our challenges.
Sure.
And what we're trying to overcome is where are the veterans? How do we get information out to them best? And it's only made even more challenging without the newspapers around anymore.
I have a follow-up to that,
Yes.
is that it sounds like you rely mostly on veterans coming in to talk to you. I'm thinking about, I know some people who
like you said, are proud and do not want to maybe come and ask for the help. What do you deal with, like family members or a concerned friend of theirs that will call in and say, hey, can you reach out to this person?
Yes, we have had definitely an uptick in that. We've helped some veterans recently too. Just it's a single veteran taking care of themselves, living alone, and their neighbors who would routinely check on them just noticed the health seems to be kind of becoming a problem. Can somebody just go and check on them? And so we started that dialogue with him and realizing that maybe entitled to anything. He's never sought VA healthcare. He's never
you're-
sought benefits.
You're into referral kind of
Absolutely.
things.
If it
Okay.
gives us an opportunity to find a veteran, to get in front of that veteran, to be able to try and advocate for them and figure out what do they need and where can we help? Yes, that's why we try to do outreach. We try to get out as much as possible. We are speaking at some of the senior centers, just because they tend to have a lot of the health issues, and we want to make sure that they are informed on all of the healthcare and the benefits that are available to them. We deal a lot with spouses because veterans, even when we have that sit down and talk with the veteran and their spouse, usually they are the ones with the questions. They're the ones with the follow-ups. Veterans, we like to be able to just accept whatever is given. We're like, oh, thank you. Okay, no questions. And the spouse is like, well, I've got like 5. So can we stick around? Like, yes. What are the questions? Because we want to make sure that everybody is informed in the family, because the spouses are the ones that typically notice those health declines or notice them having to say what every 5 seconds, and they're not hearing me anymore. The TV is now turned up to 85 when it used to only be at 32. So just some of those things we need, and we rely on the spouses to help us as well. Yeah. But yes, to answer your question, I will take any referral, any way I can get in front of a veteran to make sure that they are helped.
Good to know.
And I would just say for our viewing audience and for all of you, we're fortunate in the city of Chaska. We have several years ago, the Carver County Community Development Agency partnered, and we offer, or this through the CDA, has partnered and has 4 units for veterans right here in our community.
Yes, so we have filled those. There were a couple of vacancies. We made sure to get filled this year. There are 3 more currently up, I believe, in the Lake Grace apartments, also here in Chaska, that are on the verge of being filled. So we are, yes, working to make sure that our veterans are being housed. And there is, I believe, a new building, another new apartment that will also have a couple veteran flagged vacancies. So we will be able to continue to help our veterans when they come to us with those housing crises. Yes, we are big proponents of all of our partners and stakeholders, and CDA is absolutely one of them.
Martin, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Jen?
Not right now.
No, I'm.
Brent?
No further.
Thank you so much for taking time from your schedule and being here with us. First of all, you might be a little bit concerned because the audience is not full in the room, but know that like many things, we watch from home. And so
Fantastic.
our Human Rights Commission are broadcasted at home or on the TV. So your message can be heard by hopefully many others. But thank you so much. As we said earlier, we want to help and lift up our veterans in our community. If there are resources or programming that you think that the Human Rights Commission can do here in Chaska, please let us know.
I will absolutely keep that in mind. Thank you very much, Chairwoman, and all of you for your time tonight. And all of you at home, I hope I see you in our office at some point. Come on by, say hi.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you all.
You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but we know that family commitments and time
Well, the Vikings start in 8
And
minutes,
the-
so.
Oh, no. More important than family.
No pressure. Okay, I best we get onto this agenda. Okay, minutes from last month.
We still need to adopt the agenda.
Oh my gosh, thank you, Jen. May I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Can I add something? to
Yes,
the
you may,
agenda?
of course.
I would like to add just that we talk a little bit about the forum we attended in New Brighton. Oh, it is down there, okay. It was called something different than what I was looking for. Thank you.
I believe we've included that on the agenda. Any other additions, deletions? If not, the agenda is as, but probably we should have a motion to approve.
So
In
moved.
that case, I can,
We have a motion made by
I'll
Ren,
second.
and you're going to second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Excellent. Now we can take a look at our minutes from August 22nd. And just to note for our viewing audience, we'll talk about our September gathering of both the City Human Rights Commission and others. A little bit later in our agenda under the Equity Commissioner Forum recap. So any changes to the minutes? Having heard none, may I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you, Britt. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Seconded by Ren. If there's no questions, all in favor of approving the minutes of August 22nd, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes carry. Thank you. Treasurer's report, the very important treasurer's report. Elise, would you be so kind as to go over our numbers?
I think since the last meeting, it hasn't been too much. Did add to the budget a commitment of $2,000 for Cultural Heritage Month, your Celebrate India. That was voted at $2,000 toward that, so your balance is just over $2,500.
Great. Does anybody have any questions about what's on our budget for this year
I
or
do.
expenses? Yes.
Do we know how much we spent on the cultural heritage month?
When we do, where is it? 6F. I can give you a rough estimate. I kind of consulted, with, Kevin today. But right now I can tell you that although it was authorized for $2,000, we're right at about $1,000.
Next month we'll have the exact breakout.
Yes. Any other questions? If not, may I have a motion to approve the budget as printed on October 24th?
motion to approve the budget or financial report.
Thank you. It's the treasurer's report.
Second.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you, Jen. There's no further questions. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes carry. Okay, committee reports. Gosh, we have a lot to talk about. The Dr. King subcommittee report. I'll be giving that tonight. The members of our group are Commissioner Fundison, Hannah Sanderson, excuse me, Commissioner Kevin Mee, and myself. And we have an outside of the commission members participating with us, Stacy Kumar Nelson. And I'm pleased to announce that we have a speaker. Her name is Shayla Michelle Reeves. She is a WCCO anchor. She's also a book author. And we're excited about having her be with us on January 11th, 2025. We've of course reached out to our district high school and middle school bands. We're waiting to hear their answer. We are putting together some guidelines for an essay contest. Martin, several years ago, you suggested that we do something in order to work and support and celebrate Black History Month during the month of February. So we're hoping that we can have an essay contest that we can celebrate during the month of February with a presentation here at the Human Rights Commission. And we'll be announcing that at the Dr. King celebration in January. We've reached out to Fort Wayne, Indiana, the Minneapolis Commission on Civil Rights, and Hormel Industries for some suggestions and guidance on how they've conducted essays in the past. And so that we can put together a good program that we think our children, our youth, excuse me, probably would participate in. Commissioner Sanderson, that's a combination of Hannah and her name. So sorry, Hannah, if you're watching at home. Coloring contest. We're going to have a coloring contest for age categories 1 through 4 and age 5 through 8. And we have a host identified and accepted the responsibility of leading the meeting. And that is Steve Curtis, who is the executive director of the Southwest Metro. And we're looking forward to that opportunity to reconnect with the Metro Chamber of Commerce. For those of us, and perhaps some of you at home, you'll recall that the Metro or the Chamber of Commerce used to participate with us, much more so. They're reconnecting and rejoining. And so we're pleased to have their partnership coming alongside of us in that effort. Gosh, those are the highlights. You'll hear more in November and December. Oh, one more thing. We are looking, as in years past, you'll recall that we purchased a series of books suggested by our school district and made them available as gifts to some of the audience. We'll be doing that again this year. I have a list from the district that they've sent to us. In addition, Shayla Michelle Reeves has written a book called Echo in the Distance. It's for a young reader, but I think we'll also try to have many of her books available for the audience.
Where is it going to be held?
We will be at the Chaska Event Center. Yeah. We anticipate it will be an interesting day because it falls on Inauguration Day for our government. So we'll see. It should be an exciting day. All right. Any questions that I can answer? Women's Appreciation. I don't think we've got any updates on that committee. Okay. Asian and Pacific Islander, I don't think we have any opportunities there at the present time. The Pride celebration. I did have a question about that. I know that 2 of the subcommittee members are here. Did you receive by chance an evaluation sent to us by the Carver County Pride program that we participated in?
I have not received anything.
Would it have come via email?
I don't know. I saw one of the organizers of the event earlier this month, and she thanked us for coming to the event and supporting that Carver County wide program of celebrating Pride. And she asked if we were interested in participating in again next year. And I said, well, I don't know. We have some ideas and some suggestions for you. And she said, oh, well, you should have received an evaluation form. And I didn't know if it had come to either of you, has it come to the city? Okay, so maybe I'll just reach back out and, because I think that that's something that the committee for next year can take a look at and determine whether or not that brought any benefit. I know Ren was there with me that day. If there was true benefit associated with us having a booth there, if there are resources or other time commitments that we would may choose to do in lieu of that event. So, okay.
I wonder if Kevin, because Kevin was the point of contact. So I wonder if Kevin got it.
Oh, okay.
Kevin.
Thank you, Elise. Nothing for River City Days. The Cultural Heritage Month. Oh, my goodness. Well, our cultural heritage event for this year is celebrating India. And so at each of your, along with your agendas tonight, you have a flyer that talks about what it is that we're going to be doing tomorrow evening at the lodge which is located adjacent to the community center. We think, and I should tell you that the subcommittee of Juhi, who had to leave, Yusuf and Kevin Wright from the city has been diligently meeting and planning and looking at resources and figuring out what we can do. And we're really thrilled to be able to offer this event to our community. So you might wonder about where your cultural clothing. If you have a heritage that you generally associate with an identity of clothing, please feel free to wear that and come to our event. But we'll have food, we'll have games, unique from India, crafting. We're doing some traditional dancing. So I will have a scavenger hunt. Did I see a copy of the scavenger hunt with our things?
I believe it was
Just for me. Thank you. Just for me. But we'll have coloring opportunities. We'll have a scavenger hunt for the young people that are there. And so please come. I think it will be a lot of fun. So that's our Cultural Heritage Month celebration.
I have a quick question.
Yes, please.
Is there any kind of online sort of advertising of the event that exists or anything? At least in my neighborhood, I know I have a fairly large kind of Indian population and and we've got a Facebook page that I would love to post it on.
I've seen it on the city Facebook
City-
page, so you
Okay.
can
City
share
Facebook
it from
page.
there.
And I can just kind of share that and
Yeah, that's
okay.
what I did.
Okay, all right, I'll do that.
So I was sharing earlier, why is Chaska doing this? Well, because collectively, we identified many members of our community have chosen Chaska to live. And their heritage, their roots come from India. And so how do we in our community make our Chaska more welcoming and engaging? And so this is one way that we feel that we can lift this up and see and to show and to demonstrate. So I'm hoping it will be a success. And it certainly falls in line with some of the goals and objectives that we have set forth in terms of encouraging a welcoming community for all here in Chaska. So the total expenses at this point in time, although we initially asked for $2,000, which the commission approved, we've been excellent stewards, I think, of our money. And we are holding expenses right now at around $1,000. And that means we've done a lot of shopping at garage sales and consignment shops to get those wonderful decorative lights that you'll see tomorrow when you arrive. So I think we've been good so far. And we'll have one special feature we'll have is a children's story hour. A woman who has currently working in conjunction with the Dakota County Library will be coming and reading 2 books for young people in English, Hindi, and Bengali. So we're excited about that to occur between 6 and 7:30 tomorrow night at the lodge. Okay. Just wanted to give everybody an update. If you didn't see Indigenous Peoples Recognition, went to city council and the mayor signed the resolution appointing the second Tuesday of the month of October as Indigenous Peoples Day for the city of Chaska. And that was posted on our Facebook page and the city Facebook page. So thankful for the commission in supporting that and bringing it forward to city council members. Veteran acknowledgement.
Yes, so we had a chance to meet. Our intent is to highlight 4 or 5 veterans, local veterans in the community. We reached out to the VFW as well as the American Legion commanders. Have yet to hear back from them, but I talked to Steve and he's going to help push that along a little bit. So the intent is that we will provide them with 3 or 4 questions and just through our social media and then hopefully be picked up by the city to highlight and recognize 4 or 5 veterans during the month of November. So we're heading that direction and I think with Steve's help we'll get there. So I would imagine some random Hotmail account coming to a veteran probably it would be a little intimidating. So I'm happy to have an introduction. So that'll be good.
It's great. Thank you for doing that and heading that up. Community partnerships. Well, some of you were able to go to New Brighton, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say and what you learned, and if you have any recommendations for us, and was it worth it? And I could probably think more, but let me turn it over to one of you who, or all of you.
I'll
You
start,
have
you
notes,
fill
yeah,
in.
so
I have a few notes.
yeah.
First of all, I'd like to say that at the forum, we didn't write a lot of notes because we were told that we were going to get a whole bunch of the notes sent to us from each table, but they have not arrived yet.
She was at a conference I was at today, so I know she's been busy.
So we may have updates next month.
Excellent.
But I will tell you, I mean, thank you to Britt for driving us up there. We carpooled, Britt, Kevin and I carpooled to New Brighton and met with several Metro Human Rights Commissions or human rights adjacent groups from different communities around the Twin Cities. And they put on a fabulous welcoming event for everyone. They had it set up as like World Cafe style. So there were many tables around the room and they all had certain topics, that were designated for that table. So you kind of walked around to what interested each commissioner and had conversations about that topic at that table. And we switched so we could do different tables and things. It was great to hear the different ways that human rights commissions are implemented in the cities. There's very different types of commissions, I feel like. We talked about how our role is that we educate and advocate in our community. We do a lot of events. There are several other commissions that do kind of the way that we do. There are other commissions that seem to focus on policy.
Oh.
Not that they make the policy, but they work in conjunction with their city council to affect policies that the city will then adopt, such as renaming a park or, like offering certain city services that they see a need for or something.
Identifying areas of the community that maybe need to be lifted up or represented better at the city level. So that's, I think primarily the New Brighton Commission is the one, they're a newer commission. They were just established a few years ago. And from the outset decided that they wanted to be more policy focused. And so that's how they were founded. And it sounds like they also have they have I can't remember what her
They have a-
role is.
like a DEI director or something on their city staff.
Oh.
And her name is V.O.I.C.E.S. And she is not only a city staff member focused on that, but also their liaison. So, she is able to bring a lot of that stuff. I'm not saying anything. I appreciate everything you do, Elise, but I also know you're the assistant city administrator, and so you have a lot on your plate. And so it was interesting to hear the different lens that maybe different city staff take depending on what their role is in, city administration and things. And one thing I know, we were talking about like the success of human rights commissions, and an overarching theme I heard was that we just need to have trust established between the council and the commission. Whether you are an events focused or a policy focused or whatever, it's just something that's important to build a relationship and have the trust that the commissioners are going to, identify things that maybe the council would not know about, bring them to the council and just highlight different areas that maybe were a blind spot for them previously.
I know there was also discussion about from some commissions, how to get the youth voice or youth engagement. Because they are a passionate group and they can bring a lot of insight that adults may not have. And I was really pleased with how Chaska kind of runs, how we have engaged sort of youth commissioners, and we fill those spots, and I feel like we do a good job of reaching out to our schools, and so that was a kind of a moment of pride that I personally had.
Question for both of you.
Yeah.
Were there other similar sized communities, similar size to Chaska's size, present? Or was it primarily metro?
Let's see, there was New Brighton, there was Robbinsdale,
Okay.
Richfield,
I think Minnetonka.
yeah, Minnetonka. I mean, so there was probably larger communities for the most part. But at one table I sat at, there was the assistant city administrator from Savage.
Excellent.
And he is exploring a human rights commission in their city. And it was really interesting to talk about, what his hopes are for it and stuff. And he was just kind of hearing how it could look, hearing what other people are doing and stuff. And they did say that they would like to make this an annual event, and I would highly encourage everybody to go to it if they can next year.
I think they confirmed, I can't remember which community it was, but I think it'll be a West Side community next year. So
Yeah,
we'll be a
they're
little
gonna Try to
closer.
move around, so.
Excellent.
So it's,
I was gonna say, we could volunteer Chaska,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
great.
and the last thing I was gonna say is somebody at this forum, I didn't write down who said this, but, we were just talking about like important values of the commissions and things. And somebody said, that they always try to remember that we're doing the work by building on the work that was done by other commissions in the past. And I think that's really important to know because what we're able to do today is because somebody started this commission. They also did these activities or events or whatever, and that's allowed us to continue and work on the things that are currently in the focus of our community.
So it sounds like well worth it.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
was fantastic.
Yeah, I think everyone kind of wished it would have been a little longer. It went really fast.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's great to be in a room with like-minded people.
absolutely. Yeah.
I will say, we attended a forum or a gathering of commissions several years ago. That was not it was put on at the University of Minnesota. This was quite different from that in that we just got to chat about how things are going. What are your challenges? What are some ideas that are working? I feel like it provided really good insight for us.
Great. Well, thank you for making the trek. And hopefully you'll get more information and we can discuss it further.
Yep, I think that Elise will get her.
As soon as I receive it, I will send it on.
Great. We have some new business to come before us this evening. And that was included in our packets. I don't know what page it's on, but
7.
thank you. On page 7 of our packet. So Latino Voices of Minnesota, worked in conjunction with the Human Rights Commission for the past 2 years in creating an ofrenda at the Chaska Community Center. And if you have not visited the community center this year, you should to see that ofrenda and also the related art associated with the Day of the Dead celebration. This year, Latino Voices has asked the Human Rights Commission to help support their events, and that's plural events that will be happening this year. One is the construction and decoration of an ofrenda at the Chaska Event Center, which is on Sunday, October 27th at 1 p.m. And then participation in the Katrina parade that they're having on November 1st. And that's followed up with agencies and organizations having an event of music, performances, traditional sweet Mexican bread, Latin American craft vendors at the Chaska Events Center. And this is something that we have supported in the past. We recognize that this is a celebration that we can lift up. And so we asked them, what kind of a budget were they looking for to carry out their events for this year? And we encourage them to participate and engage other nonprofit organizations and businesses here in Chaska to help support that, their event. They asked for over $1,000, and with the assistance of Elise, we were able to take a look at the kind of costs, and also taking a look at the costs that we have associated with our events here for the balance of the year. And I'm recommending that we endorse and support this event to the tune of $850. This is consistent with the dollar amount from last year that we gave to them. The Katrina Parade is an expansion of what they're offering to do with the two ofrendas, I think, and that is to provide an opportunity for those of us who don't know about the Day of the Dead celebration and what that tradition means for many individuals that have heritage roots from Mexico. We're not making a religious statement here. This is not scary Halloween costumes or trick or treat kinds of things. It is a traditional event that celebrates members of families that have passed away by celebrating joyous moments, recalling their loved ones' lives. And so I have been attending meetings with Latino Voices, planning this event going forward. There is RG Insurance Agency is a member. The Chaska Police Community Relations is a member and has been participating. And we've really encouraged them to reach into the community, identify other organizations and resources that would be there to help showcase this tradition. And so hopefully I can answer your questions. If you have any questions about supporting this organization in the amount of $850.
I think it sounds great. No
We
questions.
should define what a frenda is.
Okay, an ofrenda is think of a large oversized altar with a very large altar. And on the altar, there are various levels of items. Okay, so I think that the first level, and I'm by no means an expert, so please do not say Sarah knows everything. But items that perhaps the favorite beverage of your family member. So for me, that would be a cup of coffee. Because coffee, that's what we drank in my home.
Or it might be a bottle of Coke or something.
Or a bottle
I
of
mean,
Coke.
things that represent what your loved one loved.
Right. Then there's levels of food, their favorite food, angel food cake, or a sweet pastry, or I don't know, whatever. Then then there's another layer, and I don't know what that is. I don't remember. And then the top layer are images, are photographs of your family members. So participants are encouraged to bring photographs of their family members that have passed or people that have been significant in their lives. And so they kind of are at the top. Marigolds, the yellow gold flowers are very prevalent. I'm so glad you're looking it up, Martin, because I'm just winging it
You're
here.
doing well. I'm just trying to find the name of there was a Disney
Coco.
movie. Coco, you're
Yeah,
right.
so
Yep.
it's the best
Thank
Pixar
you.
movie.
Yeah,
That explains it. If you've seen Coco, then you kind of,
And it's not over, they do a very nice, like, very respectful job in kind of explaining it and talking about the importance of family and how it impacts your culture. And anyway, it's fantastic.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, you should.
You should, yeah.
Well, thanks. I have not seen it, so I guess I will go and see it and, um,
I was gonna add to that too, that one thing that Latino Voices has added or has always incorporated with this is that any community member is invited to bring a photograph, whether you have a Mexican heritage or any other background. They want to just bring community members together to honor the loved ones who have passed.
and as part of that is this Katrina Parade. And so the event will start out at November 1st at 5 p.m. With a gathering at Veterans Park where we celebrated Pride. And we'll walk across the bridge to the Fireman's Park and into the event center. And there at the event center, we are asked as the commission to help support or be present at a table, not spinning the wheel, but promoting the events that we do each year. So I'm hoping that one or two of you might want to volunteer for that fun event.
I think I can be there.
Excellent. Thank you. I'll enjoy standing beside you, and anybody else that's there. So,
I will be there too.
excellent, wonderful. It's geared for all ages. So, and there'll be prize contests. There'll be a host. All communication throughout the event will be in both English and Spanish. So, so everybody understands what's going on. So
Probably come, but I'll have to bring them.
excellent,
She will
wonderful.
love it.
Two.
It's lots of
Well, I
fun.
just am gonna say I'm not gonna be able to
That's okay.
really advocate on it.
I think this is it's a great event and it's grown over the years for Latino Voices, but I also want to just acknowledge them for the partnership they've given to us over the years because they show up and help us out a lot at many events. And so I think it's great that we can offer to do the same for them.
I agree. So I would ask for, I guess I would make a motion that the Human Rights Commission support Latino Voices in their Day of the Dead celebration and their Katrina Parade in the amount of $850.
I think we should hold off on that just for a second.
Okay,
And only because we didn't discuss the money portion, we just kind of explained what this is, but how much
Oh.
does that leave us for other things such as buying books or whatever else we wanted to do for the,
well, the reality with our budget is, and our treasurer dollars that remain, and trust me when I tell you, Martin, I've been counting the pennies, so that we have enough money to do the kinds of things that we talked about, which were, buying, merchandise swag for our events in 2025 and purchasing much needed tablecloth and or banner kinds of things for promoting the Human Rights Commission when we go out to various events. So the books for the Dr. King celebration, we might look at that list in December, but they would not be, and they would be purchased but not paid for until January. Is that my correct understanding?
No, the books we can purchase this year. We
Okay.
can't, it's likely the rest for MLK celebration, we cannot pay for until
Until
2025.
It looks like, especially given that you've only spent $1,000, that we'll have, even after those $850, we'll have $2,500 left before the end of the year that we'll need to spend, and just a quick look at the tablecloths and we should be okay. I mean, it looks like it, but Martin is incredulously looking at my,
Well, they estimated $1,000 being spent. I just want us to have like a realistic look. So if they, it might come back 1,500 or 1,200,
sure.
which is fine. I'm not arguing that or anything along those lines. If out of $2,500 left, you take 850 towards that. Will $1,800 be enough to cover whatever we want to do for the rest of the year, whether it's buying books or tablecloth? Whatever it may be, swag for the next year or whatever, is that enough? Are we okay with that amount? If
Is
we're
the-
okay with that amount, then
Is the 2,000 already taken out of our total budget? So we have 2,500 after that's already, okay.
Now, yes. And anything that would not be spent. you would back in.
Well, I certainly don't want us to be, to, spend all of our money and then at the end of the year say, oh my gosh, we weren't able to do X, Y, or Z. And we thought that having this would enhance our ability to be at events in 2025. So that is not my intent at all.
I just looking at the most expensive options on the banner and the tablecloth would be $400 total. So that includes the stand-up banner and a tablecloth. And so then, that would still leave us $1,400, $1,300 to spend before the end of the year on, I don't know if there's other things that we swag. I don't know what we spent last year. I don't think it was $1,300.
It was about $900
So,
and about $500 for the books.
yeah. So that puts us ballpark, especially if you have extra for after.
I think we'll be okay, Martin. Now, is that the best words I can tell you? I don't know. But what comes to mind to me is that when, and I think you were present, when we gave a year in review to the city council members back in January or February of this year, the city council said, if you need more, come to us. And although I certainly don't want to come back to city council and say, oh, by the way, we've spent all the money that you gave us. I would look to other organizations and individuals to help support us so that we do not need to go back to city council and say we need extra dollars. Although we should ask the city council to include money in their budget for us for next year. Absolutely.
with that, I say that we ask for at least 8,500 for next year. I'm throwing that out so everybody can think about that for next month.
Excellent point. Thank you.
Can I second that?
I think that there is a motion on the floor already. So I'll entertain your motion in a moment or two, but there is a motion on the floor to support Latino Voices with the dollar amount of $850.
Second.
And there has now been a second. Is there any further discussion?
I have more discussion.
Yes, please.
I think we should just give them $1,000 if they want. Year after year, I just want us to have a real honest look at, okay, here are the finances. This is what we want to do. That's all I want to do. I think year after year, we've been improving, we've been gaining ground, we've been moving forward, I would like to see us support something like this. Oh, the proposal is professional, right? They just didn't walk up and say, I need this. Somebody typed it up, took the time. Flowers, I think this is a good opportunity for the city to support our Latin X community. And it's a good way for us to learn about this particular culture and participate. And I would encourage everybody to Google what Katrina means. So when you show up properly and you're not surprised. and also participate. So I say we should amend it to $1,000 and just take care of it. But that's just my opinion.
And your voice is important. I would only offer this, and that is the proposal came in. I was impressed with the proposal. I shared it with, our staff liaison, who took a look at some of the, itemized expenses and realized that due to financial limitations from our city treasurer, we cannot purchase prizes, quote unquote. And so because they submitted their budget that included over $300, $350, I think, for prizes. And my awareness of the limited dollars that we have for the balance of the year, and knowing that we were trying to do this other cultural event, I agreed with the city treasurer recommendations and Elisa's recommendations that we take that dollar amount out from the over $1,019 that they asked for. I will tell you that because I've been participating in the planning meetings, those prizes have been able to reach into and tap another organization that is willing to offset those prizes, that cost of those prizes. So they have funding for the prizes, just so you know that. I don't dispute what you say at all. I think that we have been attempting to support. We have supported the ofrenda from a little tiny little corner in our local market area to a much bigger presentation and educational event at the community center. I think that this is clearly a larger event, and they are a struggling organization in terms of their finances. I would say that. They have not received a level of grant funds that that others have been able to achieve. Money is tight everywhere. So that's the recommendation went from $1,019 to $850 because to meet statutory requirements by the city.
Okay.
So thank you for the amendment, but do you withdraw your amendment?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So is there any other further discussion? Oh, you look like you wanted to say something, Britt.
No.
Okay, all right. So, motion has been made and seconded to approve $850 payable to the Latino Voices of Minnesota to offset costs for the Katrina Parade and the ofrendas, plural, for the city of Chaska on November 1st. And the ofrenda set up on October 27th at the Chaska Event Center. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Those opposed, ayes carry. Thank you.
I hate to do this. I'm supposed to be in Waconia in 4 minutes. I
Okay,
don't know if we need to.
just quickly tell us, which thing do you want to buy?
Oh,
You
I-
want
I
a
like-
stand-up banner and you want a tablecloth?
yeah, I like the tablecloth with, yeah. I like the one without the back because we tend to use under the table a lot, but I am fine if we want to do the back one.
Could
So-
we vote on that in November?
Sure, we can.
Then we don't have to rush and
Okay.
make a choice.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sorry, we
Nope.
usually don't go this long.
So, no,
I feel like I
Okay.
smell. Everyone keeps leaving me.
Yeah,
I know, you
Yeah.
want to down?
yeah, you'll never sit on this side of the table.
I know, right?
Thank you.
Let's see, the other thing that we have under new business is the Chaska Human Rights Award. And so this comes as a result of last year, well, no, as it grew out of a discussion last year of how do we evaluate the nominations that are coming in for the city of Chaska Human Rights Award. And so a criteria, which is listed on page 13 of your agenda packet, has been developed. And I think probably the most important thing for us to know about is it's time. Nominations are being accepted as we speak for this special event, or excuse me, for this special award that's given to an individual, an organization, or even, I guess, a business for outstanding service to the city of Chaska residents. The criteria was developed for us to help determine who would be the award recipient. And so the categories that we looked at was, does the nominee live or conduct business in Chaska at the time of the contribution? Contribution represents a substantial effort toward winning or preserving equality and justice for groups of people whose circumstances make them vulnerable to prejudice, discrimination, or injustice. The number of classes of people impacted. The number of people impacted. And was the services by the nominee provided as part of their work or above and beyond their normal job/business? What do you think?
I think those are good questions to look at. I think this is good for listeners to have an idea of what we're going to be kind of looking at as we choose the recipient for the award. I would also encourage any commissioners to kind of keep these in mind as they're out in the community and they either see an individual or organization that might be someone to consider for a nomination, or to share kind of the gist of what we're looking for with your circles of people that you know. Some years we have had great success getting multiple nominations. Some years we show up at the meeting and we have to brainstorm, what are people doing in this community? And that's a tough place to be in. And it's really great when we get outside nominations from people other than on the commission. Not saying that commissioners can't nominate someone, but we don't always see what other people are noticing or what is meaningful to other people in the community. And so I think it's important to get the word out that we need nominations. We should be applauding these individuals or organizations because they are making a difference in our community.
How do we normally advertise for this? Is it just word of mouth?
Chaska Herald is gone. So this year, we'll certainly do the social media platforms. There is a new digital organization that's getting a presence. It is limited, not in terms of what people want to do with it, but it is local. Do you know their name?
County, local,
Is it Carver County Local News?
something similar to that.
Or words to that effect. So that's a new digital newspaper format that folks here in Chaska have been getting together, planning They have a website. They did a candidate forum, excuse me, a candidate voter guide that's out there. Good people organizing this event or this platform. So I see that that would be a logical opportunity. And then it's word of mouth.
I mean, is the form only paper or is there an online form?
No, it's a fillable PDF form.
Okay. And so I was wondering if we wanted to post maybe at, natural areas of gathering, like the community center or maybe like churches or other religious or the library, if we could put like a QR code up on some sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Those things that stand up. Like you could put it on
Sure.
where it's just standing
Yeah.
there and someone walks up to a desk or a reception area or a check-in and there's something
Scan the
posted.
QR code.
Yeah,
Yep. And the form would be there.
yeah.
Yeah. I think that that's a great idea. Is that something that we could ask communications to do?
Yeah, when you all,
Approve it.
if you approve it this tonight, I will work with our communications team and we'll kind of come up with all these different ways to get it out.
So one of the things that we didn't do, and there are no changes to the actual nomination form itself. So that's included in your packet on page 12. So again, like I said, they go out with, any way that we can get the information out is great. The nomination form is similar to the same award or same format that we've used in years past. And the criteria is the piece, or the evaluation is the piece that we felt coming out of last year would be helpful to commission them to determine, let's say last year we had 7 applications. How do we evaluate? How do we say, oh, well, this person, yes, this organization has done X, Y, and Z, and they've done it maybe all in Chanhassen, although they may live in Chaska, we are honoring and uplifting and awarding for a Chaska organization. So, or individual.
And on page 11 is the list of previous recipients.
And-
Sometimes I forget that you weren't here when we did this last, because you're just such a pro. So it's good you're asking questions.
I would say that all of the organizations and individuals that have received the award are still engaged in our communities, with the exception of 2. Still doing great work, excuse me, with the exception of 3. Oh, no, Launch Ministry is now gone too. Never mind, 4. But individuals who volunteered for those organizations or participated or were staff of the organization when it was in existence here in Chaska are still here in our community and still doing and contributing to good things. We might see them in other areas doing their work, but they're still here.
I have a question for you, Elise. I know that we have translated some other materials that we have for printed things. Are we able to get this translated into Spanish and Somali?
I will follow up and see if that's a possibility.
Especially kind of the criteria, I think is important because that's a lot of words for someone whose first language isn't English.
Okay, any comments? Sure.
Our viewers, getting clarification. They would like the application to be easier. Too much work to nominate. Did we have a different form of this last year? This has always been the same form.
It has. And I would say our files include applications that have been handwritten. There's no requirement to have it typed up or printed. It's just, if you want to do it that way, you can. They've come in on single sheets of paper, handwritten on this form.
Is there any way that we could have them just fill it out online and submit it? Because I just imagine people would have a phone
We
and,
can make like a Microsoft form or something like that. We do want probably some paper copies, so we could take whatever the paper copy looks like and put it into an online form.
Would that help, do you think?
I think that, bear with me. They're stating you can get the initial nomination and then go back and follow up later. Maybe maybe I want to nominate somebody, but for me to sit down and, type up, okay, they did this, I might not have enough time to do that. But if I can put just like a general description, maybe.
We have gotten nomination forms before that have short descriptions and longer descriptions, but we have always followed up with the recipient for sure, the person that we all decide as a commission, but also if we're not familiar with the organization, then we can follow up if we have questions before we vote on it.
I mean, could we simply put some of these criteria into the form? Not specifically as they're outlined here, but ask a question, what has nominated organization, individual, so I don't really know where they're located is something we want to put on there, but like, who did they help? How often do they engage in this activity? I don't know, like more straightforward questions that kind of could probe and
Like short answer, and
yeah,
get an idea of what we're working with and then dig deeper if we need to.
maybe, yeah.
Yeah, it can go faster if you're pulling up your phone and, you're typing the person's name in, phone number. Okay, I don't know. They worked at Target and they gave away 500 shirts. I'm just throwing out that. You can type that in real fast, send it. And, if we want to follow up with it, maybe we can follow up with it or something along those lines, but making it easier, like you're saying, simple.
Yeah, could we make the nomination form question and answers? I'm thinking last year after nominations came in and we made our decision, one person shared with me that they really wanted to have XYZ nominated. But they just didn't get around to filling out the form. So, and that, the concern is that it would take me too much time to say all the things that this person had done. Well, so I'm going to be the devil's advocate. We want to hear about the person's contributions. If it's a yes, no question, we won't get that. What did this person do?
Is it getting the person's name in? Maybe we start this process too late every year. Maybe we should start it in June or July, but just say, okay, Robert Henry, let me nominate this person because they did X. And then once we see it, maybe we can, I don't know, I'm just throwing that, maybe we can do a little bit of research, say, oh, okay, so they did this year, and then go back to the person who nominated them and say, okay, we need more information from you. Now you need to take the time to fill out this form.
I think that's a great idea, Martin, but I think it puts the burden on either one of us to follow up, or it puts the burden on Elise, our liaison, to do that. And I would have to ask Elise if she'd be willing to take on that task.
Well, I think it would fall on all of us, because if all the nominations come in, you would just hand those to us regardless of what they look like. And it takes us 5 seconds possibly to Google a person to see what they've done or not. Maybe they show up, maybe they don't, but then go from there. It's like, okay, if we decide on this person, then we can simply go back to whoever nominated and say, okay, you need to figure this out, or we just move on. But you can get more names that way. Or maybe not, maybe it's not a
We could also do maybe a middle ground where it's, so this is very open-ended, and I mean, I wouldn't necessarily want just yes, no questions. But if we had just a few probing questions that could at least get us started down in, an understanding of who these nominees are, but it doesn't feel overwhelming for the person doing the nomination. I mean, I wasn't really thinking yes, no questions. I was thinking something maybe more open-ended, or, that it would only require a sentence or two in response, but it would give us at least a general idea of
And
who
on
the,
that, we could put, is there something else you think we should know? And
Oh,
then,
yeah,
then if
yeah.
they want to add an essay, they can up to 500 words.
Right.
But I mean, it's not the only thing that we're asking in order to solicit nominations.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we were consistently getting more nominations than we knew what to do with, then we could maybe leave it more open-ended, and maybe that would narrow the number of nominations we get. But if the goal is to obtain more, then I would say kind of lowering the barrier for those making the nominations, especially if there's a language barrier, would be useful.
Administratively, Elise, what would we need to do? Maybe gather our ideas, give them to you. Do we would want to take a look at it as a commission and approve it? So that's November, and we're kind of pushing a deadline.
Is this something that we stay this year with this, since it's already, in theory, people can already be making nominations?
And they could have been downloading the nomination form all this year, because it looks like this. It looked like this in June. It looks like this in September.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
In this form, there's lines for address, phone number, and email address. I'm not sure, are we looking for that contact information for the nominated person or the person doing the nomination? I think that maybe should be clear.
I think in the past, it's been the person making the nomination, their contact.
Including their address, or is it the address of the nomin?
if you read down a nominated organization, individual, and that address, and then you go to the next line, person making nomination, their name. And
So the
then
assumption then is you move on. Okay, all right.
that's the way I look at it, but
I don't know if we could just make it,
Yeah, I will clarify that.
okay. And then real nitpicky. Up at the top, it says Chaska Human Rights Commission. Are we missing a space between rights and commission?
No, actually, you're not.
Okay, okay.
I looked ahead of that. Every time I look at this, there's a
Okay.
space, but I will make it like a double space.
Okay.
Yeah, because it almost looks like that in the S for Human Rights Award too, where it just must be how the S's fall.
Somehow, it's something with that heading. I'm not quite sure, but I'll fix it so it makes it clear.
Thank you, Elise.
So how do you feel about keeping it as is for this year, like basically the same this
I'm fine
year?
with it the way it is for this year and work on, and I've said this previous years, I always feel like we're rushed,
Yep.
right? And to start this, put this form out earlier. Maybe we pick River City days. I don't really care when, but throw it out there and say, okay, start turning these nominations. And now it's due December 12th. Yes, everyone will wait till the end of November. But we're not rushed, right? We did whatever and it's out there and they'll trickle in as they trickle in.
Or maybe we make the deadline the month earlier.
They would
So
still
we
wait
have-
till the very last minute.
Right, they can wait till the last minute, but we have some time to
Hmm.
do something with it as a commission.
And I will apologize. This was on my list to do earlier this summer. It unfortunately fell
Oh,
to the wayside, so I will make sure
yes, ma'am.
I will get it up. I apologize.
But
Okay, so not to belabor the point, but what do you think about the criteria? Because that's something that we will all utilize. Is this enough to begin to help us? And Britt, I'm sorry that you haven't gone through this, but you'll be our test. If this criteria helps us when the decisions come or need to be made. What, are these good criteria? Do we need to be more specific?
I think it's a good starting point for us. You know, like stay with it. A good start or conversation starter. This is just for us, correct?
That is just for us.
Good.
The public will not use this. This will just be helping us when, particularly as you'll recall, Martin, we've had the past couple of years, we've had multiple nominations that, let's see, that was in 2021 and last year where multiple organizations and or individuals, I mean, their applications seemingly were both merited recognition. So this might help us narrow that down to perhaps one. Although we don't want to say it's just one if we need, if there is more recognition needed.
We want to maybe add something about the length of time they've been providing services or.
Sure. Could we add
Yeah.
that? Yep.
Britt, I just want to tell you too, that when we get the nominations, all the nominees are invited personally to the breakfast for Martin Luther King Day. And so they are acknowledged at that breakfast so that even if they are not the recipient of the award, they're still, celebrated that
Yeah.
they've been contributing to this community.
Nice. Yeah. Oops.
And the previous recipients are also recognized.
So with that one suggestion of adding the length of service or time of service or service, how can we phrase that?
And are you just looking for it in the evaluation? Evaluation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think that would obviously be something that would be helpful. Oh, well, it says including length of time. It says in the form. As one of the
It's on
examples.
Nomination form,
Yeah.
but it's not part of the evaluation.
I think we could say like, over what time period has this been occurring or something? If it's only for us, I mean, they don't have to
Okay.
rate exact
Length of
dates.
time nominee has engaged in contributions.
So length of time nominee has contributed,
Yeah, or engaged in contributions.
has
or
engaged,
To the community.
is engaged to the community. Does that make sense, Elise, to you? Okay, great. So I think moving forward, though, we should probably make a motion to approve it with this addition.
We can't
We haven't-
vote.
Oh, we can't vote. Okay,
I think you'll be okay. It really, this is just internal. It's just taking what you've done, what you have in your already approved evaluation criteria and just moving it into a format to evaluate it. So I don't think you need to.
okay. So our booth display options, we're going to move that to next month's discussion and approval or agenda item for discussion purposes. Our next meeting date.
Before you move on to that,
Yes, sir.
I would like to move Latino Voices. Talk about that next meeting, if we have time, partnering with them to kind of shore up our relationship. Figure out what we can do. I mean, we've got like cultural heritage month and all these other things. They do a good job putting these things on, right? You know, their events, and I think we should partner with them and figure out something for next year. I just like us to talk about it, whether it happens or not, I don't know, but I just like us to have a conversation. I don't want to see them fly away in the distance or float off. Does that make sense?
Are you thinking like a co-chaired event that we both?
I don't know what it means.
Oh,
Just
okay,
partner
great.
with them. Yes, every year we give them money, maybe a couple times a year or whatever, but partner with them to accomplish something. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's one of these events or I don't know. I don't know.
Great, we can put it for discussion purposes.
I have a question on the booth options. Can't, was this, I missed, I think our August meeting. Was this something that was brought up at the August meeting?
Yeah,
Okay, all right. I felt like I was missing some background
I-
knowledge.
I think what we realized this year is that when we've gone to the events, we've needed to have a table covering.
Mhm.
We have a banner that has to be specially tied to the tent or pardon me, or it falls down because we tape it to the table. And having a more finished product would be worthy of our commission. And
The logo is different.
the logo is different from our current banner.
Mhm.
And for those of us who are vertically challenged, trying to get the banner attached to the top of the tent, it has been risky at best. And so if it was on the tablecloth, there would be risk reduction would occur. That, how's that?
That's great. Yeah, we had informally discussed this, I think, at River City Days. And I didn't know, one of the discussion points at that time, was what we would want to put on it. And one of the ideas that I had brought forth was figuring out a way to convey to passerbys who don't stop at the booth what the Human Rights Commission is. And I don't know if that was something we were going to print on this, or if we were just gonna have our name on it. It was, I saw a couple of other banners for other organizations at River City Days, and it was, they had their name, and then it was maybe listed kind of 3 sort of action verbs. So it's like educate, advocate, or, something like that, because we often get asked by people.
What do you do?
Yeah. What is your purpose? And if there was some way to kind of quickly convey that on a banner, I think that would be useful information to include. If we're, making one now, might as well do it right.
I think what we could do is if that's the direction that's chosen to do, like the pull-up banner, whatever you all decide. And maybe I can come back in November with some options, is to work with our communications team and kind of look at okay, what kind of makes sense? And give you some ideas and, they don't have to be the ideas you choose. You can give other ideas just to give you a sense of what might make sense to put on there. We could do
That'd be
that.
great, Elise, if you have time to do it. Okay. Long meeting tonight. Are there any other issues that we need to talk about tonight? We can't vote on anything, but we can talk.
I had one thought at the
Yes,
beginning of our meeting. A lot of thoughts tonight. I know we record these meetings and I think they stay up on YouTube sort of indefinitely. I was wondering whether there was a way to trim down in some kind of circumstances, depending on who the guest speaker is, kind of trim down to the guest speaker portion and list that on some other community forums to maybe make it more accessible to members of the community. So like the presentation we had tonight, for the Carver County Veteran Services, there was a lot of really useful information in that I thought, you know, if we could somehow share that in other ways, aside from just YouTube, that might at least further their purpose in trying to reach other members of the community.
We can talk with our video production staff and understand what the possibilities that's.
Okay.
I was gonna say that's a videographer item, okay? That's a good suggestion, thanks. Did you have some more ideas?
I think I'm tapped out now.
Okay. Martin, anything?
Um,
Are you sure?
not really.
Okay. All right. Jen?
Nothing else.
Okay.
Just generally get out and vote.
I was gonna say,
Yep.
reminder to all of our viewing public that, decisions about community and both on the state level, county level, local level, state level, no, local level, county level, state level, and national level, will come before all of us before we all gather, encourage voting. And we'll see all of you, our viewing public, and all of us at the Katrina Parade. And
Right.
are you working tomorrow night?
Oh, don't we have the,
Oh, tomorrow night is. Please show up for that. You'll have fun, guaranteed. And you'll walk away with a greater appreciation of people who have their heritage roots from the country of India. So if there's no further business to come before us tonight, then I would say our meeting is adjourned. I'll take a motion if you want to do that. What? Would you like to motion for adjournment?
I just didn't know if we could.
Sure you can, go.
Okay. Right, I so moved.
Okay, we're
A second.
officially over with.
I just didn't know since quorum was